Hi, and welcome to Black Belt in Real Estate. If you're new to the show, my name is Peter Jumrukovski. I'm a local real estate expert here in Los Angeles and also a former world medalist in karate. I have a mantra that I'm working on, and that is the more you help others, the happier you are. If you're interested in investing, buying, and selling in real estate, this is the show. I'm very much approachable. So even though we're doing this on audio and video, if you want to connect with me directly, talk to me. I would love to connect. I would see if we can, help you out with your real estate goals. Today's show is special for me because I have a role model here. I have Coach Pipes on the show. He is one of the best real estate coaches in the country and in the world, I would say. And he's a leader of thousands of agents. So he's very much in tune with the market. And my goal is always to provide as much value as possible. And that's why I brought him here. And I'm so grateful that he took the time. He's very busy traveling the country to, help other people. So Coach Pipes, welcome to Black Belt in Real Estate. And thank you for being here.
Well, thanks, Peter. I'm excited to have a chance. I'm so normally, like you and I were talking about, I'm normally speaking to the agents. So it's always a pleasure when I get to speak directly to consumers, to buyers and sellers that are out in the marketplace right now, especially in LA. Like Orange County is where I'm from, but spent plenty of time up in Los Angeles and have had plenty of clients in LA. So it's good to be on the show, man. Thank you for having me and having me back.
Awesome. And let's dig right into it because I know if you're listening to the show, you're busy. You got to make it happen because living in LA is, it's an investment, so to speak. And this show is directed to you if you're a home buyer thinking about buying or investing in 2024 in Los Angeles. So I'm just curious, Bill, what is your take on the market right now if you're looking from a buyer's perspective?
And I believe this from the bottom of my heart. And it's not just bottom of my heart. Qualitatively, it's quant driven. Everything that I'm going to share with all of you guys today is driven by quant and data, right? And I think that's important because a lot of agents and individuals out there will give their opinion. And honestly, like opinions are a dime a dozen, you know what I mean? It's more important to be able to actually look at the data, to be able to analyze that data. In fact, I always tell the agents that I coach, like our job is to educate and control the narrative for great buyers and sellers, consumers that are out in the marketplace so that they can make intelligent decisions. Right now, they're like, honestly, it is an optimum time to buy. And the reason that it's an optimum time to buy is even though I think today we saw rates, the last couple of days they've given back. I think we're recording today on what is today, the 18th. Rates gave back. We're sitting at about 7.1%, which is off the highs of 8%. It's definitely off the lows of this last year or the last 6 months of 6.5 or 6.62. But if you really analyze what makes it a great time to buy as a buyer, I think that's important to start. Number one, you take interest rates into consideration because it affects the affordability that you have. I think number two, you take the current market trends and the expectations of how the market is going to perform based upon trustworthy individuals or trustworthy sources. And then number three, you think about the equity position based upon that increase. So let's unpack this right now. Yeah. Rates right now are at 7.1%, 7.09 to 7.1%. So they're not historically low, but they're also not horribly up in the eights or knocking on the door of the eights that we saw. And we're probably never going to get back to that or not going to get back to that in a while. So we're in a good position for interest rates. With an expectation of the Fed saying, hey, we're going to probably have 3 or 4 more cuts. Now, today's the 18th. On the 20th, the Fed meets. We all need to pay attention to that. And I think as a consumer, it's a responsibility that you have to really pay attention to what the Fed is doing, what the Fed is saying, and the impact it's having on what's called the 10-year note, or to get connected with an agent that does, right? That understands the data of the market. So even if you buy a home right now at 7.1% interest rate, there's a lot of majority of the banks out there, mortgage brokers, have what's called a no-cost refinance that typically has a term of 18 months. Within 18 months of you purchasing a home, you can go back, you can refinance a house at a lower rate with no cost to yourself. So really, we take that whole, we got to ask ourselves, do we have an expectation that rates are going to come down? And the answer is yes, right? Fed The market is pricing in a Fed cut in July of a quarter of a point, another one that takes place in September, another one in October, another one in December. So that's 3 or 4 rate cuts. So you think about that for yourself as a home buyer and say, hey, if I lock in right now, why is it a good time and what will happen in the future? Well, in the future, rates are going to come down. Now, if you wait and you say, okay, Pipes, well, I'm just going to wait until rates actually come down. Well, that seems intelligent at first run, but what you're not taking into consideration is the impact that rates has on the competitiveness of the marketplace itself, the number of buyers that come in. For example, 2 weeks ago, we saw rates come down below 7%. They dropped to 6.86, I think it was, at the low, depending upon who you're following. And that's for a 30-year fixed, right? Well, we saw that week, Peter, in 1 week, we saw 2 weeks of increasing mortgage application data. That week that we saw rates at the 6.86, you saw a 10.9 or basically an 11% increase in the number of mortgage applications for purchase. That means that there was 10% more just that 1 week in 30 to 45 days, 10% more competition in the market. Well, we've got historically low inventory. Inventory is not getting solved for. People are not putting their homes on the market like what we've seen. And so what happens is now you wait for rates to come down and you're going to have more competition for the same amount of homes or maybe even less. Obviously, that has an impact on pricing, which is the third piece. Number one is what's going to happen with rates. Number two is how does this impact my competitiveness that I have? And that's when we start seeing multiple offers. And then number three is this whole piece of being able to actually have what I want to choose, right? And also prices. So it's simple supply and demand, man. We're at low levels of inventory. You have more demand. It obviously puts upward pressure on pricing. And so because of that, we have projections from Goldman Sachs, from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Zillow, National Association of Realtors, and Realtor.com, that this year nationally, we're going to see a 3 to 4% increase in home values. And obviously, certain pockets like potentially Los Angeles could see even more. So yes, you could wait for rates to come down. You're going to have more competition. You're going to pay more, and you're going to miss out on the equity piece as well too. So that's why I advise any buyer right now that, look, now's the time. Because all the data is lining up that says it's going to get more competitive in the future before we see a release of inventory to be able to gobble up the demand, right? So.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think one of the challenges is that, 1 in 5 consumers or individuals out there do believe that market's going to drop and prices are going to go down. So if you're at a barbecue, a Sunday barbecue, and there's 10 people there, 2 of them, if you talk about the real estate market, they're like, wait. And I think that the narrative that most of us hear a lot of times are, from our uncle, and sometimes we trust our uncle more than a real estate agent that you meet randomly at an open house, right? So can you just talk through that?
Sure. Well, and actually the exact number is 24% right now. 24% of consumers believe that there's going to be a decrease in prices. That's down from 37% that we saw last January, right? But there's still, like you said, either 2 or 3 people out of 10 that believe that prices are going to come down. Well, that right there, what you got to ask yourself, what is that based upon? Well, it's based on CNN, it's based upon Fox, CNBC, MSNBC, the hallucination of some dude on YouTube or some woman on YouTube that is doing clickbait to get you to actually click on their stuff so they can get more followers so they can monetize it. The consumer, all of you guys listening right now, both buyer and seller, but specifically buyers, you are more informed or have the opportunity to be more informed than you've ever been in your entire life. The only challenge is there's also a bunch of crap out there in terms of sifting through. You got to sift through to find the good information, the reliable information. Now, if I'm a consumer, this is what I have all of my agents really digging into and bringing this information. That's one of the things you want to ask yourself as you're choosing an agent to work with. And obviously the landscape of real estate is changing right now with you having a choice where you're going to work with one buyer agent right now for 60 days. That's the new expectation in terms of having exclusivity. So choosing that right agent becomes more important to help you buy a house. I would look at how informed they are, how much they can actually give you information, both on the local market and the national real estate trends over their opinion. For you, your job as a consumer is to actually educate yourself as well too. I love Housing Wire, right? I love Altos Research on YouTube. Mike Simonson, Logan Motoshami, both are the economists. They're super intelligent individuals. I love Mortgage News Daily. So if I'm a consumer and I put myself in your shoes of buying a house, I absolutely would be leaning into reliable data sources to be able to actually offset this false narrative that the sky is going to fall, the market's bottom is going to drop out, and I should wait. People that wait right now, Peter, on a $400,000 house within 3 to 3.5 years are going to leave 70 to 72,454 is the $72,454 is the exact number if someone on a $400,000 home waits right now. There is no projection by anyone in the industry, by any of this intelligent economists, that the market is going to give back and go backwards in prices for the next 3 years.
Yeah, and let's talk about something that I hear very often, and that is like, yeah, I'll buy if I get a good deal. So can we just unpack, like, I think, what does a good deal really mean? Because in my opinion, is not based on how much below asking price you're paying. It's actually what of a home and opportunity you're getting.
Well, so here's the good deal. Real estate has always outperformed any other investment over the long period of time. The deal is the equity that you're going to get in the purchase of the home. Okay. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean go out and overpay, but mark my words, my friends. And this isn't me as a real estate coach, consultant. I never really liked that word coach because people think life coach. I'm a business consultant that helps people on biz dev, scaling marketing and being able to actually grow their organizations. When you look at it, I have no benefit to you buying now versus buying in the future. But what I will say to you is the deal right now is getting the house and beginning to actually have the appreciation grab at that point if you're a first-time home buyer. The deal right now, if you're selling, is sell while it's still competitive. And a lot of times people are moving up. They're move-up buyers, right? And if you're a move-up buyer, well, we know how markets move, right? It's that medium home price that is always really strong, which it is right now with the highest level of competitiveness. If you sell your house in a medium, which is, like I have agents that I coach, one of the top agents in all of Pasadena, their average is probably 1.1, 1.2, but you sell at 1.1, 1.2, and you're moving up to 2.5, 2.6, you have a little bit more negotiating room. You have that gap, you have that delta where I'm selling at a premium, but I have a little bit more negotiating room up at the top where I'm buying. So you got to take that into consideration. I'm going to say something, and I mean this with all due respect to everyone that's listening. If you're looking to undercut, to undervalue, to wait for that special home to be able to come up, this isn't the market for you to be in. This is a market where you're going to need to be competitive, and it's going to get more competitive the longer that it is that you wait, because we know when rates come down, I'm going to stress this again, rates come down, inventory is not increasing because you've got a lot of people in 3% interest rate mortgages. They're not going to release that. They're going to deal with the uncomfortableness of their house that they don't love. Many of you may not love your house, but you love your rate, right? You love your monthly payment. And so it's difficult to bite that bullet and say, hey, I'm going to pay more, right? Pay a lot more, in fact, pay double an interest rate for something just because I'm uncomfortable or I don't like my house. People are going to have that tolerance to be able to deal with their lack of love for their house, for their love of the low payment that they ultimately have right now. So because of that, you're not going to see inventory open up. It's going to get more competitive, right? So the deal right now is getting the house, getting the equity appreciation, right? And being able to not be competitive, but in a competitive market when you do buy, when there will be 10 or 15 more offers. That will come whether it's July, August, or September. The minute the Fed cuts rates and hacks rates down quarter point, half a point over two meetings, you'll see, which you already see in LA, there's multiple offers still if the house is priced, if it's in a certain price
19
point.
offers, 16 offers, it's happening, 3 offers.
It's happening right now. And think about this, dude. That's happening at 7.1%. Imagine what's going to happen when we're down at 6.1%. You're going to tell me that there's not more buyers and the same amount of inventory, and people at 3% are not going to put their house on the market to jump up to 6%. We've got to be what our data shows us right now is the consumer wants to see an interest rate within 1.5 percentage points. 1.5 percentage points of their existing mortgage. For a lot of people, what that is 5.5. right? The market will begin to open up in terms of inventory at 5.75, 5.5. You'll begin to see, some of that. Will that happen this year? Well, the original projection is that we'll see it sometime in November, December after the election. So,
Cool. Thank you for sharing all this information. We're running out of time. This is a short, intense show, but I have two more questions, and that is, how do you test your realtor? Like, how do you know who's your guy or gal if you're a consumer?
ask them to explain to you what their projection is of the market and where they get their information. You need an educated professional, okay? Ask them of their track record of success. Not from, hey, let's be very clear, guys, not from 2019, 2020, or 2021. Those were unicorn years. Like, honestly, in the industry, you had to be a complete bumbling idiot not to sell a lot of homes. Like, right, Peter? So, we see people that sold a lot of houses. So I want to know what they did in the last 12 to 18 months. I want to know what their track record of success is. I want to know their knowledge base of the market itself. And I want to know that they can defend me and negotiate for me. So seeing how they can handle some basic fundamental objections, of their value and what they do to negotiate homes, etc. I also would say this: if they do not do a consultation with you, if they just take you out to look at houses, that's probably not a professional agent. Because a professional agent is going to sit down with you, consult with you in a 15, 20, 30-minute consultation as a buyer and say, what are your needs? Let's explain the market. Let me take you through the home buying process of how it is right now, right? And let me share with you what we do above and beyond. That's a professional, okay? Agents that end up, you call them and say, come take me and show me this house, and they say, sure, what time? It's like a brain surgeon that's going to do surgery on someone that comes in and says, I've got a headache, and they don't do any get any of the optics that are necessary to be able to support and assist. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And final question, obviously, people that are listening might not be aware about the new NAR ruling that came in last
Yeah.
week. I already have clients asking me, how's that going to affect the market? Are buyers' commission going away? So just real quick, if I'm a buyer now, can I say, oh, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah. So as a buyer, it's still going to be required that there's a commission that's attached to the purchase. The only way that it's going to change is how it's negotiated. To be very clear, the only change that has taken place is that in the MLS, the person that has listed the house to sell for the seller can no longer advertise, we're going to pay a buyer's agent X percent, right? Okay. Well, now watch, guys. This works in your advantage. It really does, because now every single home gets treated the same. Now, what does that mean? It means you're still going to have to pay a commission, 2.5, maybe even 3%, that you and your agent negotiate, and then that either A, you choose to pay, or B, you have an aggressive agent that negotiates that as part of the seller concessions as you're presenting your offer. More important than anything, what has happened, and by the way, you'll also no longer have this opportunity to work with 25 different agents. You're going to need to choose one agent. This is the new ruling. You're going to need to sign, as if you're going to sell your house, you sign a listing agreement that says you are going to be the agent to sell my house. Well, you're now going to be signing a contract with the buyer's agent that said you are the agent to actually represent me in the purchase of my home. From what I'm seeing right now, it's a 60-day contract is the default, right? So more than ever, doing that interview with the agent is so critical. What is their degree of separation? What is their track record? What is their knowledge base, right? Because you're about to get in a contractual agreement with that agent now at this point, right? So the commissions are still there. They're still at play. It's just the mode with which it is that it's actually negotiated. Now, some of you may be thinking, yay, I'm going to get my buyer's agent that's working with me to cut their commission. Well, the thing that you want to ask yourself is, if someone's going to give up their money that quickly, how quickly would they give up your money when they're sitting at a negotiating table representing you in the purchase of your home, right? So you want someone that's aggressive. I've always said this, Peter, you pay with peanuts, you're going to get monkeys, my friends. So, and I know no one wants that when it's the single, for most of us, largest financial commitment that we have, which is our house. So.
Awesome. Coach Bill, thank you so much for doing this with me and sharing what buyers should think of. We're grateful to have you here. Uh, if people want to connect and follow what you do, because I know you target agents, but in a way you put out a lot of content that is good for the consumer. Where can they
Always,
find you?
yeah. Well, here's what to understand. Even though I'm putting out content that's for agents, I'm putting out content that's for agents for them to digest and then share with all of you, right? So really, you can come to the proverbial horse's mouth, right? So you don't need to rely upon the translation of it from somebody else. Follow me on Instagram is the best place to be. Coach Pipes, COACH Pipes, PIPES on Instagram at Coach Pipes. I'm Bill Pipes or Coach Pipes on Facebook. One is a business page, the other one is my personal page. Either of those three, or LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, right, at Coach Pipes and Bill Pipes, both of those. So follow me. I'm always putting out a lot of consumer-facing content that is directed at agents. So.
Awesome. And thank you guys for being here with me again. If you enjoy this show, share this with a friend. Maybe that friend at the barbecue that is talking bad about the market. Maybe they need to hear this message. And if you want to connect, I'm happy to interview for your business, to share with you what I do differently. And it's an open conversation. One of two things are going to happen when we chat. Either you're going to feel that I can get the job done, or you're going to be more comfortable with the decision you're already leaning in. So either way, it's a win. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.